You might have to press the horizontal thing. Is it going? Is it sideways or good? Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasavi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasavi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda Radhe. Jaya Gauranika, 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 Jaya Gauranika. Jaya Jagannatha, Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Nrsimhadev, 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 Jaya Nrsimhadev. Jaya Prahalad Maharaj, Prahalad Maharaj, Prahalad Maharaj, Jaya Prahalad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. विश्वले भगवान की जय विष्णुपाद ब्रह्मंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अस्त्रदशी श्रीमाद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय विष्णुपाद ब्रह्मंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अस्त्रदशी श्रीमाद श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर महाराज प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नाम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की श्री पुरुषोत्तम जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माय यमुना माय भक्ति देवी की श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की संवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे all glorious assembled devotees All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, Sri Garanga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for coming for this Katha, day 1 of Narasimha Dev Katha. So today we'll be speaking from, we'll be sharing some things about Nrsimhadev, and tomorrow also we'll be sharing some things from Nrsimhadev about from 3 o'clock to maybe like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So before we start, we can say some prayers to Nrsimhadev. If you're familiar with the pastime, if you're not familiar with the pastime, it's still good to offer our prayers to Nrsimhadev. These are select prayers from Nrsimhadev from the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. So please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Tejase. Avir Bhava. Vajranaka. Vajradamstra. Karmashayan. Randhaya Tamo grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Atmani Bhuyishtha Om Ksham. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsimhadev, the source of all power. O my Lord, who possesses nails and teeth just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. Please appear in our hearts and drive away our ignorance, so that by your mercy we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-8. Prahalada Hridaya Ladam Bhakta Vidya Vidaranam Sharad Induruchim Bande Parindra Vadanam Harim. Let me offer my obeisances unto Lord Nrsimhadev, who is always enlightening Prahalad Maharaj within his heart, and who always kills the nescience that attacks the devotees. His mercy is distributed like moonshine, and his face is like that of a lion. Let me offer my obeisances unto him again and again. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 8.5 purport. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha. Jai Jai Nrsimha. Praladesha Jaya Padma. Mukha Padma Bringa. All glories to Nrsimhadev, all glories to Nrsimhadev, who is the Lord of Prahalad Maharaj, and like a honeybee is always engaged in beholding the lotus-like face of the goddess of fortune. Beautiful verse, right? You can always chant these prayers. You want to take a picture of it? Yes. Okay, take the pictures. It's like many people take pictures of celebrities, devotees take pictures of verses. Oh, you got it? Ugropi anugra evayam Swabhaktanam Rikeshari Keshari va Swapotanam Anyesham Ugra Vikramaha. Although very ferocious, the lioness is very kind to her cubs. Similarly, although very ferocious to non-devotees like Hiranyakashipu, Lord Nrsimhadev is very, very soft and kind to devotees like Prahalad Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Purushaya Mahatmane Haraye Bhuta Simhaya Brahmane Paramatmane. O my Lord, full of six opulences, O Supreme Person, O Supreme Soul, killer of all miseries, O Supreme Person in the form of a wonderful lion and man, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So this is talking about Nrsimhadev, and we'll go through these prayers at the end of tomorrow. So this is called, I titled this class, How Not to Parent. The Hiranyakashipu story. Many people are parents. Many people are want to be parents, or many people. So there's two people. There's two kinds of people. How you learn. You learn from people what to do, and you learn from people what not to do. And the Srimad Bhagavatam has both. Who can you learn from in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Give me some characters. Bhishma, very good. Anybody else we can learn from? Dhruva Maharaj, Kapila, Prahalad, Krishna himself. You can learn so many things. Ram, and then so there's people in the Bhagavatam who you learn what not to do. Who do we learn what not to do? Hiranyakashipu. Hadai Prana not in the Bhagavatam. Not in the Bhagavatam yet. Maybe the next canto. Kamsa, very good. Anybody else? Hiranyaksha. At some point, Ajamil, we learn Ajamil what not to do. Daksha, we learn from Daksha what not to do. We'll learn about a very famous couple that we're going to speak about in the course of this Katha, about what not to do also in terms of children. So how not to parent. So I'll give a little context before we start. So before I'll say a little invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayesva Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasri Gaura Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Vaisheshikata Sarikarte Namine Namah Prashilaya Prabhupada Nusharine Anandatere Tasmai Shastra Bhajana Chodine. So Hare Krishna, we're very happy to have all of you and the assembled devotees in person and also the assembled devotees online. I'm very grateful that there's some devotees who are very eager to hear about Nrsimhadev. How this came about was I was just looking at the schedule for the festival tomorrow, and I didn't see any class on Nrsimhadev, and there wasn't any class involved. And I said, we have a drama which I'm a part of, and I think drama is a very important way of displaying Krishna consciousness. But there also must be some katha, because this is our process. Shrinvatham sva katha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridayantosi abhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. So Suta Goswami says in this pivotal verse in the second chapter of the Bhagavatam. He says, Shrinvatam Sva Katha Krishna. By hearing the Katha of Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana. You actually get the most Punya. Why? Punya means good fortune. Why? Hridayantosti Abhadrani. From the heart. Hridayantosti Abhadrani. All Krishna comes in the form of Krishna Katha through the ears, and he sits in your heart, and he himself cleanses this the heart by himself, sitting in the heart. Vidhunoti suhritsatam. By this is the greatest fortune, and the heart gets completely cleansed. So we may have heard the Bhagavatam so many times, so many the same story, Putana, Kamsa, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Putana, Kamsa, so many times, and we may say, "Oh, we already know this," but Krishna is so amazing that even if you keep hearing his pastimes again and again, he personally comes and he sits in your heart and he cleanses the heart of all dirt. Who has dirt in their heart? Yes. By this Krishna Kirtan, so this is also Kirtan by hearing Bhagavatam. I'm reminded of a verse from 12th canto that would shed a lot of light. Samsara Sindhum Ati Dustanam Utti Tirsor Nanya Plava Bhagavata Purushotamasya Leela Katha Rasani Sevanam Antarena Pumso Bhavet Vivida Dukka Devarjitasya. So this is 12.440 if you want to keep notes or you want to keep score at home about where I'm getting these verses. So 12.440 Samsara Sindhum Ati Dustaram Utti Tirsor. So this ocean, this material world is samsara sindhum. Sindhu means, anybody know? That's sindhur. Sindhu means ocean. Sindhu, samsara sindhu, material ocean. Ati dustaram utti tirshor. Utti tirshor, to cross. Durga, ati dustaram, very difficult to cross. Nanya Plava Bhagavata Purushottamasya. He says, the speakers, Shukadeva Goswami says, Nanya Plava. I see no other boat except Bhagavata Purushottamasya, to see, to narrate the glories of Purushottam. Yeah, we want to see the screen as well, so that's why we structured it like this. Oh yeah, maybe you can fix it. So he says, Nanya Plava Bhagavata Purusha. So to cross an ocean, we need a boat. And if a difficult ocean, we need a strong boat. And so Shukadeva Goswami says, I don't see any boat that is qualified except the boat of Krishna. But what about Krishna? Do we take shelter of of this, of that? What do we take shelter of? Leela Katha Rasani Sevanam. Leela Katha, the pastimes of Krishna. He says not even that, not even Leela Katha. Don't take shelter of Leela Katha. We take shelter of Rasa Nisevanam. The taste, Rasa Nisevanam, both means a taste. So the translators say the desire to have the taste, to enjoy, to hear Krishna's pastimes. Even to have the desire, to have the taste, to hear about Krishna. Pumso bhaved vivida dukkha javarjitasya. All your problems, abhadras, all your issues will leave by doing this. Pretty good, right?
So it means you might have the taste or you might not have the taste, but just to have the desire to have the taste.
Yeah, like Aindrapur used to say. Some people say, "I can't cry for Krishna." Like the desire, the last verse of Shikshastakam. I'll cry torrents of the last verses of Shikshastakam. Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha pravritam shayitam shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. That when I just hear the name Govinda, tears are coming from my eyes and I start shivering and my hair stands on end. And then someone asks Aindrapur Prabhu, if we don't have that, what do we do? He says, if you can't cry for Krishna, cry that you can't cry for Krishna. And if you can't cry that you can't cry for Krishna, cry that you can't cry that you can't cry for Krishna. So like this, we should always be in the mood of a beggar. So this is the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing this. And so we're going to start our exploration of this pastime. It's very, very auspicious day, Nrsimha Chaturdasi, the day before, the day of, the day after, all have very significant details. According to Tithi, it was yesterday, but the actual day that happened was in 1977. Today, the day before Nrsimha Chaturdashi, was the disappearance day of Jayananda Prabhu, who Srila Prabhupada said should be his disappearance day should be celebrated like a Vaishnava Acharya. So, and this was one of his disciples, Western body disciples. He said he was so dear to me. He was so this. So if you go on any ISKCON calendar, they have disappearance of Jayananda Thakur. He was that important a figure. He started Rath Yatra. He was he was the first one to give $5,000 to Prabhupada to print out Krishna book, and he was one of the most humble people in the world. And so tomorrow is actually no. So tomorrow's Nrsimha Chaturdashi. Do you know what's the day after? Many people don't know this. This is a very important aspect. So yeah, today is Jayananda Prabhu's disappearance day. Tomorrow is Nrsimha Chaturdashi. Jayananda Prabhu has come here. He's not. He hasn't disappeared. He came. So the next day is the appearance day of Radha Raman. Radha Raman in Vrindavan. Anybody been to Radha Raman temple in Vrindavan? You've been to GV, right? So Radha Raman temple. There's a self-manifesting deity. Yes. So Radha Raman is very important for Gaudiyas, for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. He is the only deity that never left Vrindavan. Out of all the major 7 deities of Vrindavan, he was the only one that didn't leave. Because when the Mughals came, when the people came to break the deities, Aurangzeb came to break the deities of Vrindavan, because they say, how to control the people? Control their God. If I break their God, then I'll take care of them. So everybody else left to Rajasthan, where the powerful kings couldn't be taken over by the Muslim government. So, but Radha Raman is this small. He's only this small. So he actually he can be put in a pocket. He can be hidden anywhere. So Radha Raman actually never left Vrindavan. But why is he so important? Why did he appear the day after Nrsimha Chaturdashi? There's a famous verse, 7:8:17. I pull it up here, but everything is so small on my screen. But let me try. 7:8:17. We can find this verse. SP 7:8. Yes, this is very important. Okay, please repeat after me. Satyam vidhatum nijabritya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhuteshvakileshu chatmana adrishyatadyadbhutarupamudvahan stambhe sabhayam namrigam namanusham. So, Satyam Vidhatam Nijabhritya Bhashitam, to make the words of his own devotee true. So this is a verse glorifying Nrsimhadev, but the Gaudiya Acharyas have said this is also a glorification of Radharaman. Why? Satyam Vidhatam Nijabhritya Bhashitam. That the words of his devotee. How did Radharaman came? That Gopal Bhatta Goswami had shaligrams with him. And then all the other deity, the acharyas, the Goswamis of Vrindavan, they had deities that they could put shringar, they can put their little ornaments and turbans. He said, I also desire to have a deity. And then so he worshipped them on Nrsimha Chaturdashi and he went to sleep. Next day, and then he prayed to Krishna. He prayed to Krishna verbally. This is why it's so important to verbalize your prayers to Krishna. He said, I also wish to worship you with ornaments and turban and so on and so forth. And then so he verbalized to Krishna, and then next day he wakes up Radharaman. The shalograms have turned into this form of Radharaman. Satyam vidhatum nijabritya bhashitam vyaptim cha bhutesh vakileshu chatmana adrishya yadbhuta rupam udvahan. His rupam is you've never seen something like this. There's never been a deity like Radharaman. Why? Because when they they were making the original Vajranabha, the grandsons of Krishna, the great grandson of Krishna. He was the last one to see Krishna, and they said, "Okay, let's make some deities of Krishna." So they made the three principal deities of Vrindavan. Anybody know the three principal deities? And Madan Mohan, Gopinath, Govinda. So they made these three deities, and they say, Vajranabha, which one looks like Krishna? And then he said, actually, none of these look like Krishna. Madan Mohan's legs look most like Krishna. Govinda's chest looks like Krishna, and Gopinath's face looks like Krishna. So if you put all these three together, this is how Krishna looked like, and this bluish blackish form. But it's explained that Radha Raman is the full it shows how Krishna looks like. So this is how beautiful it is, and this is the verse that the line that's most important for us. Stambhe sabhayam na mrigam na manusham. What came out of the pillar of Nrsingadev? Stambhe sabhayam. What came? Na mrigam na manusham. It is not an animal, and it is not a human. It is something completely out of this world. So Radharaman also came from rocks. Nrsingadev also came from a pillar. So this is the divine connection between Radharaman and Nrsingadev. So we're going to start our conversation about Nrsingadev from a famous verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.1. This is a very famous verse. This is like the content summaries of the whole Bhagavatam. It's like chapter summary. Shri Shuka Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutaya Manmantara She Anukata Nirodho Muktirashraya. So this is the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we're looking at maybe Louis, do you want to read the translation of this? Can you see that?
Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 10 divisions, statements regarding the following: the creation of the universe, creation, planetary system, perfection by the Lord, the creative impetus, the change of manners, the science of God, returning home, Godhead, liberation, and the summum bonum.
So this is the 10 topics, and many acharyas split it different ways. So Canto 1 is this, Canto 2 is this, and it's going from the top, Atra, Sarga, Visargascha, and so like creation and destruction and subcreation and planetary systems. But the acharyas have agreed this word is very significant. Utaya, for our discussion. Utaya refers to the 7th canto. What does Utaya mean? Anybody see the word to word? Creative impetus. Creative impetus. And now Sridhar Swami, a great acharya, he says Utaya can refer to Shubha, Ashubha, Ichcha. What impels us to create something? What impels us to create something? It is Shubha, Ashubha, Ichcha. What is auspicious and what is inauspicious? So the creationary pastimes of the Lord, it is based on the good things and the bad things that happen. So there must be an initial desire of passion, right? You can't create something if you don't have rajas, passion. So now we come to the
What's the meaning of the last word?
the last word,
Samam Bonam Ashraya.
ashraya.
What does
Yes,
it mean?
shelter, samam bonam. It's where you take the ultimate shelter.
Shelter.
Yes. So now we get to the pastime of Narada and Yudhishthir. Narada and Yudhishthir are sitting in the Rajasuya Yagya. Everybody's familiar with this pastime? Yes?
Read it in the Mahabharata, but
Yes.
I don't remember exactly the details.
So this is in the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that there's the Rajasuya Yagya. And what happens in the Rajasuya Yagya when they say that Krishna is the one to be worshipable? Somebody stands up and objects. Who is it?
This is after the war.
Yeah, this is I forget this before, I believe. But who is the one that stands up and objects? This is Shishupal. Shishupal hurls 100 insults, and there's a whole backstory. And the 101 is when now 101 Krishna sends his Sudarshan, and Shishupal has been killed. And you see Shishupal, he merges back into the body of Krishna. And now Yudhishthir Maharaj is confused. And so he asked Narada Muni this passage. He says, Bhagavan is all, and Yudhishthir is fully cognizant that Krishna is God. And he asks, Bhagavan is always, he's saying that he's partial. Is he partial or is he impartial? But it seems that Bhagavan is always acting in a way that is partial to the demigods, and the observer is very confused whether Bhagavan is truly impartial. Very, very interesting thing. He's always killing Shishupal, he's killing this person, he's killing that person. So now Yudhishthira Maharaj is confused. Now he's saying, why is God always only protecting the demigods? Why is he only protecting people who worship him? Why is he not protecting people who don't worship him? So the end of the now this is a very weird time to put such a question, because at the end of the Rajasuya Yagya, if the Rajasuya Yagya goes on properly, then Yudhishthira Maharaj becomes king. Now, before this, you should ask like something like about management, about something like how to perform your duties. But he's getting Narada Muni into a philosophical discourse, which is a very weird thing. And so this is something we can see about the glory of Yudhishthira Maharaj, is that he put this question in front of Narada, and it wasn't for his personal desire, but he wanted to know why Krishna does these things. Why did he kill Shishupal? And one thing about great devotees is that you must be very careful about asking them questions, because you never know how long it's going to take for them to answer such a question, and you don't know what type of instructions are going to come, and you don't know what if you'll be able to even understand those instructions. So this is very amazing. So Prabhupada, in a TV interview, I was just remembering that Krishna is actually achieved through absorption of the mind. So Prabhupada, in a TV interview, so there's Prabhupada, there's a TV interview, and there's a beautiful picture of Krishna with a turban, with a flute, tulsi leaves on his yellow cloth, and his eyes are like lotuses, so beautiful. And then the TV interviewer looks to him and says, "Is this your God? Is this your God?" And then Prabhupada answers, "He is your God also." So Krishna is all good, he takes care of everyone. He said it's not Krishna and Nrsimhadev is not a god for some, he is a god for all. So this story is this pastime of Nrsimhadev is one of the most drawn out pastimes in the whole Bhagavatam. It stretches multiple cantos, it stretches so many verses, and and why does Sukadeva Goswami do this? Because it is so important for the devotees to understand the reality of this pastime. And it actually takes almost like 4 generations to fully explain. So we're going to attempt to, I try to explain to the best of our ability. Even then it's going to be faulty. So like this spans in the third canto, this spans into the fifth canto, this spans into the seventh canto. So we're going to take this journey all together for the next 1 day or 2 days. This is just one generation of this whole pastime.
Oh yeah, his brother.
So we'll explain. We'll explain. We'll explain. So first, we find ourselves on the doorsteps of Vaikuntha. We find there in Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means kuntha. Kuntha means problems. Vai means no. There are no problems in Vaikuntha. There's no sadness, there's no anger, and there's no distress. So at Vaikuntha everything is very nice, and these four sages come and they look like little babies, little like 2-year-old babies. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So yes, there's the Bhadra campaign starting tomorrow. Everybody attend and join. It's going to be a lot of fun. So in Vaikuntha, there are no problems. And these sages have come, and these sages are called as Brahmavadis. They're not Mayavadis, but their absorption is in Brahman. They're fully absorbed in Brahman. But they desire, they've perfected their mystic yoga process, and they said, okay, we have heard all about this Krishna. We are not inimical to the process of Krishna, so we must go and see Vishnu. These are the four Kumaras. So they're technically known as Brahmavadis. They're not Mayavadis. Mayavadis are inimical to the form of God. Brahmavadis are just absorbed in Brahman. But when they get to when they see Krishna, they're like, okay, there's nothing really, they're better than this. So the four Kumaras, there's 7 gates to Vaikuntha. They come to the 6 gates, and it's all beautiful. And Vaikuntha, the gates of Vaikuntha are in gold. The roads are made with rubies, and they come through and they see these figures. And anybody know the names of the 4 Kumaras? Yeah, they're all S's. Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, Sanat Kumar. These 4. And they pass through the 6 gates of Vaikuntha. And now they're at the 7th gate, the last gate. And afterward, and so they see these 2 figures, and these people, and how these 2 figures look like. And I'm just reading straight from the Bhagavatam. After passing through the 6 entrances of Vaikuntha-pur, the Lord's residence, without feeling astonishment at all the decorations, they saw at the 7th gate 2 shining beings of the same age, armed with maces and adorned with the most valuable jewelry, earrings, diamonds, helmets, garments, etc. The 2 doormen were garlanded with fresh flowers, with attractive, intoxicated bees. Like the flowers were so fragrant that bees were around the garlands, and which were placed around their necks and between their 4 blue arms. From their arched eyebrows, discontented nostrils, and reddish eyes, they appear somewhat agitated. So these 2 beings, so beautiful, almost like Narayan himself, their eyes are red with anger. And so they put their swords down and they say, you boys cannot enter. These 4 Kumaras. And because from their vision, they do not know that these sages have been meditating for millions of years. The 4 Kumaras kept their baby bodies because they don't want to be contaminated by becoming old. Nobody has only when you get older do you think about the opposite attraction, this and that. They said, okay, let us just be babies, and we just walk around naked. They're little Brahmin boys, and they're just like, okay, we're gonna come see Vishnu. And then so they're walking up, and then they say, and we're not, and Vaikuntha is like is a place of respect. It's a place of worship. Not everybody can come there. You have to be well dressed. You have to make an appointment. You have to see this. There's Venkatachana Nilayam Vaikuntha Puravasam Pankaja netram paramapavetram. This it's like all like opulence and beauty, and these four boys are just want to come and see Vishnu. No way. They put their swords down and they say no. Now these four Kumaras, they get mad and they get angry, not because their own personal sense gratification has been ruined, but they see that they can see their Lord, they can see Vishnu. And let's read what they have to say. Let's read Beta Base 15.32. Let's see what they have to say. So this is Munaya Uchuhu. This is what the Munis say. Prabhu, would you like to say? Would you like to read the translation? Yes.
The sages said, who are these two persons who have developed such a discordant mentality, even though the service of the Lord in the highest position, and they expected to have developed the same qualities? How are these two persons living in life? Where is the possibility of an enemy coming? Supreme Personality of Godhead has not proved to be envious of him. Probably these two persons are impossible. Expect others to be like this.
He's like, the basic thing is like, who let these guys in here? These guys are supposed to be in Kunta, Vaikuntha, no problems, but they're giving us problems. Chiman, why don't you read the next one?
In the Vaikuntha world, there is complete harmony. Just as there is complete harmony between the big and small stars. Why then is there a seed of fear in this field of harmony? These two persons are dressed like inhabitants of Vaikuntha. Wherefrom can their disharmony come?
So there's harmony. There's supposed to be beauty, but a seed of what? A seed of fear is in here. It's supposed to scare us. And then so what they do, they put their hands on their Brahmin threads, and they curse. They said, "You actually you
These are the trees.
no, different,
No.
different too." They basically say that you guys aren't qualified to be in Vaikuntha. We banish you to the material world. And at this point, Vishnu hears this because Vishnu hears everything, and he rushes to to Jay and Vijay with the names of these two guards, and he's rushing to Jay and Vijay, and then it's described by our acharyas. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam and by Vishwanath Thakur. He didn't have time to put his shoes on. He didn't have time. He came barefoot, which is Lord Vishnu. Narayan came without any shoes on, and so there's a double meaning why he doesn't come with shoes on. Because one, he wanted to show that he had so much urgency to see his devotees and to protect his devotees, but he understood that actually by showing his feet to the four Kumaras, they would be completely they'd become his devotees, and they wouldn't have any other desire for Brahman or impersonalism, and they'd be so amazed by his feet. So actually, here's a picture of of it. The four Kumars are completely amazed and they become a devotee. And he says, actually, Vishnu comes and he quickly saves his servants, and he says, you guys had all right to curse them, but these are my devotees, so it's actually my problem. So whose fault was it? You guys be the was it the four Kumars' fault, or was it Jay and Vijay's fault? Either Jay and Vijay. Who do you say?
I don't think the gods were just doing their duty.
You think it's just for doing their duty? So you think it's four Kumars' fault? Who do you think?
I think it's divine revelation.
So is it Jay Vijay's fault? Is it four Kumara's fault? Actually, Narayan comes and he says, actually, it's none of their fault. It's my fault. I arranged this whole thing. I arranged this whole thing, and because I want to display these pastimes, because only my devotees can serve me best as a demon. So he gives them a choice. He said, either you take 7 births as devotees in the material world, because you can't counteract their curse. You take 7 births as devotees, or you take 3 births as demons. And because of their itcha, their desire for seeing Krishna, being with Krishna all the time, they said, let us be demons. And so they come, and they're demons, and so they take birth as three types of demons, and I'll explain the three incarnations of demons. So fast forward now, we're in another yuga. We have a
What yuga was that?
this wasn't in a yuga, this was in Vaikuntha.
Oh, that's
This is in Vaikuntha.
even before the yuga.
This is before yugas. This is in the spiritual world where there's no time. So now we have the daughter of Daksha. Her name is Diti. Diti, and Diti is feeling, has a lot of feelings in her heart, and she goes to her husband. Her husband name is Kashyapa, and Kashyapa, he goes to Kashyapa, and he says basically, dear fortunate husband, Cupid is torturing me. And look at all my co-wives, because back then they had multiple wives. Look at all my co-wives. They all have children. They are so opulent. And me, you have not blessed me with any children. And please give me children. Everybody has one. And please satisfy my desires of lust right now. And Kashyapa, he glorifies his wife, which you don't see in the world anymore. He glorifies his wife, and he says, my dear wife Diti, the wife is so important because she allows for dharma, artha, and kama to go on without any hindrance. I am always indebted to my wife because of the wife, because of her abilities and her actions. I can cross over the ocean of samsara. I bow down to you, my wife, but I just want you to wait for one muhurta before I satisfy your desire. I'll do it. I'll satisfy your desire, but just wait for one muhurta, please. It wasn't why do I want you to wait? Anybody know how long a muhurta is? It is 48 minutes. 48 minutes. Actually, technically, if you sleep for more than 48 minutes, you have, according to Vaishnavas, you must take a shower, because this is Brahmanical standard cleanliness. So he just said, please wait for 48 minutes, because this muhurta, which is in the evening, is very, very inauspicious. Your brother-in-law, because she is the daughter of Daksha, and Daksha's daughter, another daughter, is Sati, and Sati's husband is Shiva. And Jai Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ki. So he says, we should not do this right now, because in this muhurta, actually, Lord Shiva is passing, and he is your brother-in-law. And if he sees us laying in a secluded place in the evening, this is very inauspicious. And who accompanies Lord Shiva? Ghosts, goblins, ghouls, who will not make this a very, very sacred pregnancy. So even back then, there's no even thought of having of sexual relations without the idea of conceiving a child. It is not even thought of. There's to conceive a child. There's a huge science which I'm not going to get into fully, but to conceive a child, there must be done under Garbhadan Samskar, which is to invite a sacred, a pious soul to come into the womb of the mother. And so there's a certain muhurta in the morning, and you must actually get the permission of the Guru and the Vaishnavas, and then there must be you must chant 50 rounds of Hare Krishna. Prabhupada said that. And after that, then the conception will happen, and then you invite a nice soul to come and stay in the womb. But Diti, furthering story, Diti says, no, I cannot wait. And so she catches the dhoti of Kashyapa, and Kashyapa is flooded by desires, and he lies with her in a secluded place. And so what happens? They he basically impregnates her, and what happens is Kashyapa is now predicting. He's saying, what have you done? He's like, he did it, but he's like, what have you done? And he says, actually, you can look at this verse. Uh, 3, why will this not be an auspicious pregnancy? This is in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:14-18. Kashyapa uvacha apratyata yad atmanaste doshan mohurtikad uta man nideshaticharena devanam chati lehanat. He says, the learned Kashyapa said, because of your minds being polluted, because of defilement of particular time, because of negligence of my instructions, because of you being apathetic to demigods, everything was inauspicious. You did all the wrong things at the wrong time. Your mind was polluted. You didn't care about time. You didn't follow my instructions, which the husband usually instructs the wife, and you didn't care about the demigods. Basically, this is all going to cause havoc in society. Whatever baby that is in your womb is going to cause you trouble.
So at that very moment, the demigod already.
Yes, Shiva is already there. Shiva is passing through. Yeah. So Kashyapa
He's telling that picture.
to Diti,
Didi.
Diti, his wife. Now she says, "Oh, this is very very inauspicious." But now tell me, are there any predictions for the two children that are going to come? And Kashyapa only has worse news that the children that are going to come are going to be the greatest demons ever known of all time. And we're going to read actually, but there's a silver lining behind all this. There you can read this. We can start reading from these verses. Wait, third canto, 14th chapter, verses 44 through 50. Yes, we can read the translation. Maybe we can all go around. Chiman, why don't you read the translation of this?
The learned Kashyapa said, because of your lamentation, penitence, and proper deliberation, and also because of your unflinching faith in the adoration for Lord Shiva and me, one of the sons, Prahalad, of your son, Hiranyakashipu, will be a proved devotee of the Lord, and his fame will be broadcast equally with that of the Supreme.
Yes. Would you like to read the next one? Translation? Yes. Louis?
Everyone will be pleased with him, Lord of the universe. Also described 40.
Yes. Prabhu?
That topmost devotee of the Lord, and intelligence, it will mature devotional service, enter the spiritual eye of the
Yes. Two more. Chiman?
You will be virtuously qualified reservoir of all good qualities. You will be jolly and happy. In other words,
others happiness.
in others' happiness, distress in others' distress, and will have no enemy. You will be a destroyer of lamentation of all the universes, like the present moon after the summer.
Haji? So Diti is hearing all of this, and basically after this, before this, he basically said, "Your sons will be killed by God, and but your grandson will be a great devotee of God." And then Diti is like, "Okay, fine, fine, fine."
So who are the sons?
So we're getting to this. So now Diti has two sons, and when they're born, actually cows go into miscarriages. The Brahmanas, there's a terror in the universe. There's and instead of milk, the cows are giving blood, and it's like all inauspicious signs. The sky is dark, and the two sons are born, and and she names them Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu means Hiranya means gold. Kashipu means soft place.
Oh, that's right.
So
Who means what?
soft place.
Huh?
Soft place.
Soft place.
Yes, like beds. Like beds. So these are completely materialistic people from birth. We're talking about and so these are what the first incarnation of Jay and Vijay, the first demons that come. So Hiranyaksha, who's the older brother, is terrorizing the universe like all demons do. And so basically he gets the idea of sinking earth into the ocean. Now this is gets into a idea of cosmology and saying, if you want more information, go to third canto. And so he goes into earth, he sinks earth into the ocean, into water. And so everybody is like drowning. And so who comes? Lord Varaha. Lord Varaha is there, and Lord Varaha is Krishna himself, in the form of a boar, and he comes and he has a massive battle with Hiranyaksha. Actually, Varahadev is very pleased with Hiranyaksha. Why? Because Hiranyaksha is beating the chest of Varaha, and with every beat of the chest, he says, "Wow, this is giving me so much pleasure because I had desire to fight with somebody, So so he gave him a good battle, and ultimately, like we learn, Varahadev kills Hiranyaksha. Varahadev kills Hiranyaksha. After Hiranyaksha terrorizes the whole universe. He was killing Brahmanas. He was killing all this. And now, who is actually mad now? Who's mad that Hiranyakashipu is enraged that that Vishnu has killed his brother. He says, why is he enraged? He wasn't enraged when all the people that Hiranyaksha killed. That he didn't care about. But because he's my brother, Vishnu killed him, I must kill Vishnu. And he tells all his servants, Hiranyakashipu's servants, Yatra yatra dvija gavo veda varnashrama kriya tam janapadam yata sandipa payata vrishchata. He says, he tells his servants, go, attack the cows, attack the brahmanas, attack where the Vedas are being studied. Go, kill all of them. Go, kill every single person. Then Vishnu will be attacked. So, this is the whole idea of modern civilization. Spirituality is always kept low, not to be flourished because of materialism. So this is what an asura does. An asura always tries to kill Krishna. Yeah, whether we think Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, Kamsa, they killed long ago, but are the mentalities in our heart changed? We have, one second, Prabhu, Hiranyakashipu and the mentality of Hiranyakashipu, the mentality of Kamsa, the mentality of all these demons, it's still in our hearts of trying to kill Krishna in our lives, trying to kill Krishna in daily society. Because Krishna consciousness is the natural platform of the soul. Yes. So Hiranyakashipu tries to console his family. He understands. He's telling people, go terrorize the universe, and he tries to console his family. And he says and it's based on I, me, mine. So he mainly tries to console Hiranyaksha's wives. And he says, don't cry. Hiranyaksha was a good man. He was a good man. And sometimes these tragedies happen. And he says very amazing verses, Bhutanam iha sambhasha prapayam iva suvrate deve naikanta nitanam unnitanam svakarmabhi. He tells the wives of Hiranyaksha. He says, Bhutanam, just like how people come to a restaurant, and they come to a restaurant and they meet each other and they talk to each other, and then they eat what they want to eat, and then once they finish, a roadside restaurant we call dhabas, in North India, then they come to dhaba, they eat and they talk with each other, the different travelers, and then they go on and they travel, and then they forget about what's happening. So he said, just like how, like by deve naikatra anitanam, just by divine ordinance, we come together and then we come apart. So yeah, Hiranyaksha is telling this to the wives. It is very, very philosophical. Unnitanam svakarma bhi. He says just by people's karma they come and go, like people come to a restaurant and go, and so he's telling this, and I just wanted to bring up these verses. So these verses, Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yovanam jara, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes. And then so we know the second one, Vasansi jirnani yata vihaya. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new bodies, giving up old news. Chiman, read the last one's translation.
Spirit soul has no death, for he is eternal and inexhaustible. He is being misled by misuse of his light independence. He is obliged to accept subtle and gross bodies created by material energy, and thus be subjected to so-called material happiness and distress. Therefore, no one should lament for the passing of the spirit soul from the body.
So if I didn't give any context, you could have said that last verse from the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, right? It looks exactly the same as any one of these verses. But that last verse was spoken by Hiranyakashipu to the wives of Hiranyaksha. So but what is the conclusion of Hiranyakashipu? What is the conclusion of, oh, okay, you're not the body, you're the soul. We come together and we just we come and we meet and we go on our different paths. Karma gyan. Most people don't know this. He's very intelligent. But what is the conclusion of Hiranyakashipu? I shall therefore sever Lord Vishnu's head from the trunk by my trident, and with the profuse blood from his body, I shall please my brother Hiranyaksha, who was so fond of sucking blood. Thus I shall also be peaceful. So the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita is Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Take shelter of Krishna, don't fear. But Hiranyakashipu knows all the philosophy of the Gita, but his conclusion is, let me kill Vishnu. So this is Prabhupada puts this in the purport of those verses. Yeah, go ahead.
Wasn't one day Ravana, one day
Yes, they were devotees of them.
already given a boon, not because.
No, we'll get to that. We're getting to that this story. Yeah, shut the door.
It's really cold.
Yeah, it's freezing. So Prabhupada writes in the purport of these verses of the drinking water and coming together in the restaurant. He says, philosophy without character is useless. So you knowing so much philosophy, but your character is not clean, it is completely useless. So Prabhupada was one time talking to two philosophers who had come and seen him. And the philosophers said, and he asked the philosophers, who is God? And the philosopher said, oh, we're having casual conversation. This requires a lot of thinking. This requires, we have to debate all sides. We have to think about all these things from different angles. And so much so, these philosophers were saying. Then he sees one Gurukul boy, a little boy passing. And then Prabhupada said, come, this boy. He says, please come. And then he holds one burfi up, sweet. And then he says, and he asks the boy, who is God? And the boy looked at the burfi, and he looked at Prabhupada, he looked at the philosophers, he said, God is Krishna. And he gives him the burfi. And then Prabhupada holds up another burfi. And he said, who is Krishna? And then the boys looked at everybody and he said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he gives him the burfi. And then Prabhupada says, look at you philosophers, just unlimitedly philosophizing. But this simple boy knows. And then philosophers debated. They said, but he doesn't know how Krishna is God. But then Prabhupada said, yeah, Krishna doesn't know that either, how he is God. He says, as soon as he understands his glories expand more. And he's not able to understand his own glories. So, like this, knowledge is not meant for just philosophizing unlimitedly. Prabhupada said armchair philosophers, just like thinking. Us reading Shastra, us reading knowledge, getting knowledge, Vidya, is for you to have a transformative experiences in your bhakti, in your spiritual. If you're just philosophizing, and if you just have, oh, I know the Gita, I know the Bhagavatam, I know this and that, but that does not translate to actual work or actual service, physical service, then what is the use of such philosophizing? Like Prabhupada was Trivikram Maharaj, one famous Prabhupada disciple. He said, "What are you? What do you work as?" He said, I'm a sociologist. I study social issues like drinking and smoking." And then Prabhupada said, "I know all about you, sociologists. You study drinking all day, then you go to the bar at night. So people study all sorts of things, but then are they free from those anarthas? Vidya, in the Vedic sense, is not just about getting just one level of knowledge. It's about transcending that and actually making it part of our lives. So you have to understand Shastra in such a way that how do I apply this into my life? So Hiranyakashipu is very intelligent, but he's serving his ego. He's serving his ego. And so much so that he concludes, I must do tapasya. So I must do tapasya to get more powers, because I have the demigods still have a lot of powers. So what he does, he goes to a secluded place and he makes a vow of no food, no drink. He stands on one leg and he puts his arms like this. I know Lewis did yoga teacher training, but I don't know if he can do this for very long. Maybe. Not as long as him. So much so, Hiranyakashipu was starting to do so much austerities, ant hills started growing on him. And by the end of his austerities, fire started coming out of his head. And Brahma is like, what is happening in my creation? And Brahma comes down in his swan. He comes down in his swan, and he's understanding, hey, what's, like thinking about Tulsi Prabhu saying, like, what's happening? What's happening? He's saying, what's happening here? And then Brahma, at this point, Hiranyakashipu had just turned into bones. Half of his body has been eaten by ants, and he's just standing like this. And so Brahma sprinkles from his patra, his water jug, he sprinkles a couple drops of water, and he's revitalized. And Hiranyakashipu incessantly glorifies Brahma. He says, Brahma, you're the supreme creator. You're the best creator. And who am I? I'm an insignificant servant. I'm an insignificant jiva. And then he lets the cat out of the bag. He says, Yadi dasyasya abhi matan varan med varadottama bhutebhyastvad visheshebhyo mrityur ma bhun mama prabhu. He said, actually, just by getting your darshan, I've had enough. But just in case, I know you have a name like Yarodottama, the best of bestowers of benediction. Just in case, Brahma, you want to give me some benediction, I have a desire that I don't want to be killed by any living being created by you. Just in case you wanted to fulfill my desire. And he goes on to say, Nantir bahir diva naktam anasya apicha chudaye na bhumo nam bhare mrityur na nare na mrigair api. He says, I don't want to be killed in a residence, inside a residence or outside a residence. I don't want to be killed at day or night. I don't want to be killed in the sky or the ground. I don't want to be killed by those who are created by you. I don't want to be killed by any weapon. I don't want to be killed by na narer, na mriger. No human, not an animal. I don't want to be killed by any one of these. So Brahma says, Tathastu, I'll give it to you. And then Prabhupada, he makes an amazing comment. He says, many times achieving benedictions is harder than maintaining them. So he says, actually, this type of boon, Brahma says, has never been given, and it is going to be very hard to maintain. And so this is a flaw of Hiranyakashipu. He didn't trust Brahma. He didn't trust Brahma, and he especially didn't trust Vishnu, because he knows that Vishnu came in a boar. So Vishnu may come as anybody, anything. So he wanted to make it so foolproof that nothing could actually kill him. Nobody can kill him, and nothing could kill him. And so he wasn't able to conceive of a way the Lord could manifest a way with all these benedictions.
He wasn't aware that
Huh?
he wasn't aware that Vishnu is not.
No, he wasn't. He just thought Brahma was the creator of this universe. And so he gets it, and then now he starts terrorizing the universe. He would kill brahmanas. He would desecrate temples. He would kill cows, and he overthrew all the demigods. He overthrew everybody, and so on. And we're only for 5 more minutes, and then I'll keep it for tomorrow's class about more. But then now we have. So while he's doing these pastimes, he actually had wives, and he had a wife named Kayadhu. And Kayadhu was impregnated by Hiranyakashipu before he goes and gets before he goes through his austerities. So he's doing his austerities for millions of years, and so he's doing his austerities for millions of years. But then the demigods saw this and was like, "No, we cannot let the child of this demon come, because the child of this demon will be worse than Hiranyakashipu." So they go and try to kill Kayadhu. The demigods go and try to kill this woman. And then Narada Muni is like, hey, calm down. She hasn't done anything wrong. Narada Muni she hasn't done anything wrong. You come, he said, I will take care of the demigods. You actually come and you stay in my ashram. So Narada Muni takes Kayadhu into the ashram of, Kayadhu comes to the ashram of Narada Muni. And he sits there, and Narada Muni just gives her Bhagavad Katha. Just gives her straight up Krishna Katha. Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Krishna, he is Bhagavan, and he so on and so forth. And Kayadhu she heard it, but she wasn't so convinced by it. But one person was convinced by it in this whole conversation. The baby. I have so many stories of my friends that I grew up with who are devotees now, whose parents used to read to them Krishna book. I'll tell you a story of one book distributor distributed a book in the LA airport, Krishna book, and then she distributed the book, and he went to Boise, Idaho, and he put it on the shelf. He didn't read it, and his wife was pregnant, and he started like, okay, I need something to do. I can't watch TV all day. Let me read some books. So she started reading Krishna book. She becomes a devotee, and then so she tells this to his father. The father becomes a devotee. Boise doesn't have a temple. They said, okay, we'll go to the closest temple. We'll get association, but then we want to become and they started the ISKCON temple in Boise, Idaho. They said, we want to start a temple. And the two kids, they had 2 kids. The first kid, his name became Radhika Raman Prabhu, who is very famous in ISKCON. He's the youngest person in Oxford history to get a PhD. Youngest person ever. He got an Oxford PhD at the age of 21. He had done his graduate, he has done his master's, and he did his PhD from Oxford University. Religious studies. he did his PhD on Jiva Goswami's Sandarbhas. And his brother, no, not any less, who they'll actually be in New Jersey tomorrow. We have a nice program there, but if anybody's interested in going meeting them, his brother also Oxford PhD of religious studies, and all this came from the mother reading Krishna book in the womb, and it attracted such a great soul. So Narada and Kayadhu, this is the pastime. Narada just gave Krishna Katha. Kayadhu may have heard, may have not heard, but one person was hearing. It's very important to have a Krishna conscious upbringing. So tomorrow, I want to stop here because the arti will start and we can do a little kirtan. And tomorrow we'll experience. We've just laid the groundwork this whole time of who we're dealing with here, and how intense and how amazing this pastime is. We went from Vaikuntha to Kashyapa to Kashyapa, then Hiranyakashipu, and then tomorrow we'll go about the glories of Prahalad, because it's and actually the furthering of the pastimes of Hiranyakashipu, and so on, and we'll speak about the glories of Prahalad tomorrow, and how this whole pastime ends. And it's amazing because tomorrow is the day of Narasimha Chaturdasi, so we're all fasting. I hope we're all fasting. We fast until dusk. Why do we fast till dusk? Anybody know? Because one of the boons of Brahma is that he doesn't want to be killed in day or night. So he says that I don't want to be killed in day and night. So Nrsimhadev actually appears around noontime. He appears around noon, but he appears around noon, but he fights with Hiranyakashipu. He tries to give him a chance. It's described like a cat and a mouse are just like toying. He knows he can kill the mouse at any time. He's just toying, playing with him. And then so at dusk, when the time is right, he takes and he kills Hiranyakashipu. So at dusk, that's when we break our fast. So we're going to be fasting all day. It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow you fast all day.
Eat as much as you want today. Honor as much prasad.
Brahma gave a boon, he cannot be killed by any human, any god, any animal. Even if Lord Vishnu comes as half lion, half man,
is that a human?
No, it's like.
Is it an animal? No, it is nothing. Did he kill him by any weapon? Nails. Not a weapon. Did he kill him by daytime or nighttime? Dusk. He creates we'll get into this more, but I can speak about it a little bit. Not on his lap. But we can get into this. This form of Vishnu is very, very dear to the devotees. Very dear to Krishna. Why? Because it shows how Krishna comes and protects the devotees. He comes to save the devotees. And so much so, he's willing to make this weird looking form just to protect his devotees. This is God. Now we hear Sarvad Hanuman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Masucha. We hear this is the conclusion of the verse. Surrender unto me. What does this word Vraja mean? You know? Vraja. No, not diamond. Means in one sense forest, but Vraja literally means movement in Sanskrit. So movement. So what is a Vrajvasi? Is one who moves their desires to Krishna's desires. But so much so but Krishna is he's not a self-centered God. Nrsimhadev is the perfect, amazing, perfect example of God moving his desires to the devotee's desires, to the devotee's need. Prahalad never once complained. Prahalad never once cried. How much times we complain, God, why did you do this to me? I didn't get a job. I didn't get money. I didn't get this. I didn't get that. Did Prahalad one time complain? Once His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj said once that we have our problems and we tell God, we have so many problems. Did we have as many problems as Prahalad? No. Father was literally, we talk about child abuse cases, this child abuse, that child abuse. This is first class child abuse. We're not even talking about this, we're talking about murder attempts. And so much so that Nrsimhadev came in this ferocious form, and Prahalad is there taking it. So we'll discuss more about Prahalad, because even his prayers are so nectar. It's so much nectar in his prayers. You can memorize any one of those prayers, every one of those prayers. Actually, there's people in California who memorize, because there's 50 shlokas which are Prahlad's prayers, Canto 7, Chapter 9, and they memorize this whole chapter just for tomorrow. Memorize all the Sanskrit, all the translations. So it's such an endearing thing for the devotees. But I'll pause there. Does anybody have any questions or comments about anything that has been spoken so far?
Tomorrow, I'm always curious about the effects of worshiping on Nrsimhadev in his Upa form, whether there's any difference in thoughts or even like relationship.
There's a verse, it may be applicable. Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti manti pashyanti panti kayanti chiram chaganti ananda chimayasa vigrahasya govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajani. By doing, by one action, God can't be limited to one thing or to one form. Like we offer prasad. Like when we close the curtains, you may know, may not know, we put a plate of prasad and we bhoga, and then the Lord, because he's not physically, he may not physically come. If he wants to, he can. He comes and sits down and he takes his hand and he eats it, and we don't see the prasadam being gone. And we may lose faith, and we're like, oh, did Krishna even accept our offering? But we can understand that Krishna he does anything. Your eyes can only look. You can't taste with your eyes, right? You can't smell with your tongue. You can't eat with your ears, right? But Krishna's senses can do whatever they want with whatever sense. So we can understand just by the glance of Krishna, he's accepting the prasad, by accepting the bhoga, and he's making it prasadam for the devotees. Does this make sense? So this same way, the different forms of the Lord can be for different things, but it is for the pleasure of it's the pleasure of him as well. You get some result. Does that make sense? Any other questions? Yeah.
I've been told that you pray to Lord Narasimha with God Sati and your Saturn. Is there any Bhagavatam, any historical context?
I've seen in Shastra that for different influences of planets that you have, then you actually have resultant forms of Nrsimhadev to worship. So I have seen that. So we have the Arti. Gandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Prahalad Nrsimhadev ki. So we'll see you all tomorrow at 3 p.m. We have class at the same time. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
I'm volunteering in Bhakti Center tomorrow.
Oh, okay, no problem. No problem.